Welcome to the Brita podcast, a space where your body is not a problem to fix, but a living companion you can listen to, learn from, and lean on. In the first episode, I shared a bit of my own story and why embodiment became less of a beautiful idea and more of a necessity in my life. We also began to name this pathway underneath sacred embodiment. Notice, befriend, stabilize, and integrate. Today, we are going to stay in that first step, notice, and talk about your nervous system as your central steering system. We will explore what the nervous system actually is in simple language, how it shapes your reactions, and why understanding it can bring so much relief and self-compassion. You don't need any prior knowledge for this. Just bring your curiosity at all times. And if it feels okay, a little bit of attention to your own body as we go. Let's talk about what your autonomic nervous system actually is. When I say nervous system in this podcast, I'm mostly talking about a very specific part of it. Your autonomic nervous system. It's the part that runs your body's survival functions without asking you first. The autonomic nervous system is part of your peripheral nervous system. It sits between your brain and all your organs, and it regulates the thing that you cannot and should not have to consciously control, like, for example, your heart rate and blood pressure, your breathing rhythm, your digestion and gut motility, your temperature regulation, sweating, sexual arousal, and many more. You can think of it as a constantly active control system that scans your environment and your inner world and then adjusts your body accordingly. Are we safe enough to digest, rest, and connect? Do we need to mobilize energy to deal with a challenge? Is it too much? Do we need to shut down for now? That would be the questions your nervous system is asking. Classically, we describe the autonomic nervous system as having three main components. The sympathetic branch, often linked with fight or flight. It mobilizes you, increases heart rate, raises blood pressure, sends blood to your muscles and limbs especially, sharpens your focus. It prepares you to act. The parasympathetic branch, often described as rest and digest, it slows the heart, supports digestion, and supports recovery and repair. And the enteric system, sometimes called the second brain, in your gut. Your intuition, if you may say so. It's a dense network of neurons in your digestive tract that communicates with the rest of the autonomic nervous system and influences how you feel, including your emotional state. All of the survival responses you might know, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, live inside this autonomic system. They are not random. They are autonomic patterns that shift how your heart, breath, muscles, and gut behave in response to perceived safety or threat. And this is important because you cannot simply mindset your autonomic nervous system into doing something else. You can influence it, you can work with it, but you cannot bully it into submission. Impossible. It responds to felt safety, and felt safety is the opposite of pushing it into something. And it also responds to repeated experiences of regulation and not to willpower alone. This is why affirmations do not always work. This is why mindset work does not always work. At Sacred Embodiment, this is the layer we are working with. The autonomic patterns underneath your thoughts and stories. The way your system speeds up, slows down, opens or shuts down, often before you have had time to think about it. And our first step is to notice those patterns. And that's already a really big deal. And then, over time, we befriend them, build more stability, and slowly integrate different possibilities into daily life. When we talk about the autonomic nervous system, we are really talking about shifts in arousal. And that means how activated or deactivated your body is. One helpful way to picture this is the idea of a window of tolerance. Inside your window of tolerance, your system has enough activation to be awake and present, but not so much that you feel overwhelmed. You can think, feel, and act at the same time. Whereas above your window is hyperarousal. Your sympathetic system is dominant. This is where anxiety, panic, agitation, anger, restlessness, and hypervigilance live. The body speeds up, heart races, muscles tense, breath becomes shallow and fast. And below your window is hypoarousal, an overdominance of the slowing side of the autonomic system. This is more like emotional numbness, shutdown, exhaustion, low energy, a sense of I can't. The body and mind feel slowed, heavy, sometimes almost disconnected. And you probably know the experience of hyperarousal. You're wired, overstimulated, you can't calm down, your thoughts are racing, it's hard to sit still or sleep. And as well, you probably also know hypoarousal, even if you didn't have a word for it. You are not in a peaceful rest and digest state. Instead, you feel like you can't sit up straight. You can't find the energy to get up from the couch. Even small tasks feel impossible, and it's hard to feel much of anything. And that is not cozy rest. It's more like a functional shutdown. All of this, hyper and hypoarousal, begin inside or outside your window of tolerance. And all of this is your autonomic nervous system doing its job of trying to protect you and manage your energy in response to what it perceives. So when we speak about fight, flight, freeze, or fawn in this podcast, we are really describing patterns inside these autonomic shifts. Fight and flight, living more on the hyperarousal side. Freeze, collapse, and that I can't move feeling, living more on the hypoarousal side. And your more regulated, connected state, living inside your window of tolerance. And you have heard me saying a third thing, like a third state. And that is a very important pattern, and that is fawn. Why was this not included in what I said so far? Because fawn is a survival response where your system tries to create safety by appeasing, pleasing, or adapting to others. Instead of fighting or running away, your body chooses connection at almost any cost. In fawn, your arousal can move both ways on this window of tolerance map. Some people feel more on the hyperarousal side. They feel anxious, activated, scanning the other person's face, desperately trying to say the right thing or fix the atmosphere. And the body is a bit sped up. Tension in the chest or belly, maybe shaky, maybe over smiling. And other people may feel more on the hypoarousal side. Going blank, going along with everything, saying yes while feeling very little inside, almost like disappearing so the other person stays okay. The body can feel dropped out, slightly numb, slightly muted. What all fawn patterns have in common, though, is this inner logic. If I make you okay, I might be okay. If you're not upset with me, maybe I am safe. It's almost, if we think of a prehistoric ideal, fight is punching a tiger in the face. That is coming towards us. Flight is running away from the tiger. And fawn would be befriending the tiger, while freeze is the idea that we cannot do anything, we just drop dead. That would be maybe the easiest way to explain these stages in a very superficial way. So in the window of tolerance picture, you can think of fawn as a relational survival response that can sit on top of either hyperarousal or hypoarousal, depending on your history and the situation. It's still your autonomic nervous system trying to protect connection, which for humans is often as vital as physical safety. Just like fight, flight, and freeze, fawn is not a character flaw. It is an autonomic strategy that once helped you survive. And at Sacred Embodiment, we don't shame these patterns. We learn to notice them and then change our perspective of them. We acknowledge that they try to protect, so we befriend them and gradually build enough safety that other options become possible. We also establish the knowledge that none of these states are appearing in any kind of hierarchy. States are fluid and can at times even exist at the same time. The autonomic nervous system is not like a machine in duality. It's a highly sophisticated survival mechanism, and I would like for you to remember that. And that is why we are not trying to force you to stay in some ideal state all the time. Instead, we first notice where you are on this map, then befriend the pattern so it's not the enemy. Slowly stabilize and widen your window of tolerance, and over time integrate that into how you live, work, and relate. So let's bring this down from theory into everyday life. Imagine your nervous system as a steering wheel that often turns before your conscious mind has caught up. I'll give you a few examples. You open your laptop and see an unexpected mail. You open your laptop and see an unexpected email from someone who has power over you, maybe a boss, landlord, a family member. Before you've even read the whole message, just by seeing it, your heart rate picks up, your stomach tightens, your breath moves higher into the chest, your steering wheel has already turned towards threat. And remember, you don't even know the content yet. Another example would be, you are with someone you really like. They raise an eyebrow in a certain way that reminds your body of a past critical person. You might immediately want to explain yourself, apologize, or make them comfortable, even if you've done nothing wrong. That's your fawn response, trying to keep connection. Another example might be, you sit down to do something you actually care about, maybe creating something new, and suddenly you feel tired, foggy, distracted. You find yourself scrolling, snacking, doing anything but the thing that matters. That can be kind of a freeze, or a mix of freeze and flight. From the outside, this can look like procrastination, or overreaction, or people-pleasing. From a nervous system perspective, it is your body saying, I don't feel entirely safe here. I'm doing the best I can do with tools I have. So your nervous system is reacting to an input of learned behavior your mind, conscious mind, has created out of experience and analysis of the past. And a survival pattern has formed. When we see it this way, shame can soften a little. We can start to say, hey, of course I react like this. This response once helped me survive. I may not be in this same situation right now. And that doesn't mean we have to keep reacting the old ways forever. But the first step for that is to begin with honest noticing, which is exactly what this early phase of the podcast is about. I'd like to invite you to a very simple practice here. So this is not just information for your head, but an invitation to include your body. If it's safe to do so, you can pause what you're doing. If you are driving or need your full attention somewhere else, just listen to this now and try it out later. First, I'd like to invite you to notice the contact points of your body. Feel how your feet feel on the floor. Can you feel texture, temperature? Does it feel the same at all parts of your feet? Do your toes feel different than maybe your arch or your heel? If you're sitting, how does the contact point on the seat, on the chair is feeling? Maybe you have back support. How is the contact from your back to the back lean or to the back support feeling? And then allow your exhale to just be a tiny bit longer than your inhale without forcing it. Now, bring to mind a very mild stressor, and please keep in mind, nothing big or traumatic. We are here in an experiment field, so take something very, very minor that happened today. Maybe something fell out of your hand. Maybe something like an unanswered message, a small to-do you've been avoiding, or a slightly awkward conversation. And just let that come into your awareness for a moment and then see. What happens in your body as you think of it? Where in your body can you feel it? Does your breath change? Do you feel more tension or more emptiness somewhere? Is there any movement you would like to do? Maybe you want to lean forward or pull back, go away. Maybe you have an impulse to talk or to explain. Just observe and notice. Remember, we are not analyzing it. We are simply noticing. Like, my system does this when I think of that. And if at any point it feels too much, you can come back to the room, look around, name 3 things that you can see that you usually don't see. Feel your feet on the floor again, into this connection with the ground. This kind of micro check-in is a core part of our work here. It's how we move from living on autopilot into having a relationship with our own steering system. Awareness of patterns that appear in situations help us to slowly transform them. So when you are fully back here, let's talk about where all of this fit into the bigger journey. In the sacred embodiment pathway I mentioned in episode 1, this is very much step 1. Notice that you have a nervous system. Notice how it reacts under stress. And notice your typical survival strategies, and that's a big one. And so later in the season, we will move more into befriend, softening how you relate to those patterns, and then into stabilize, building more regulation and capacity, and finally into integrate, bringing this into your relationships, your work, your creativity, and your spirituality. At some point, these ideas will live not only here in the podcast, but also in other spaces I create, like self-paced journeys or live containers, where we can go deeper into nervous system basics and simple somatic practices step by step. I do not know yet, in this exact moment, which form will be alive when you're listening. A self-paced embodied awareness course, a more guided immersion, or something that hasn't fully taken shape. So rather than promising a specific format, I simply say this. If you feel your system responding to this work and you would like more support beyond the podcast, you can always find our current offerings and ways to work with me on my website and in the show notes. For now, you can treat this podcast as a steady companion in learning to feel your body from the inside and to understand your own steering system more clearly. And when it's time for a deeper step, your body will know where to look. As we close today, you might take a moment to acknowledge your nervous system. Not as something that is failing you, but rather as something that has been working very hard for a very long time for you. If it feels okay, you can place a hand on your chest or your belly and just say internally or out loud, "Thank you for trying to protect me, even when it feels messy." And over the next days, you might play with one simple question. What is my nervous system doing right now? Remember, not to change or to fix, but just to notice. In the next episode, we will explore the difference between embodiment and self-optimization, and why so many of us try to use somatic or spiritual tools to become a better version of ourselves, and how that can actually keep us away from a truly body-led life and a truly authentic life as well. Until then, may your awareness of your nervous system be kind and not another reason to judge yourself.